Okay, welcome everyone to the March 31st, uh, 2026 unofficial steering committee call because we don't have a quorum currently. Maybe that'll change throughout the call. So this is just a regular live hangout meeting for now. I'm still going to take notes in the MicroProfile steering committee document because I've already started and stuff. So that's in the chat, hopefully. Can everyone, let me just repost it. I should make this. Ooh, how come that didn't? I should make this keep the chat across meetings. I'm not sure that's enabled here. Okay, there we go. Um, a link to the meeting minutes is in the chat. Please add yourself. I think I've added everybody already. And then let's see. I'll be taking the notes today. Normally it's just kind of a shared responsibility, but today it'll just be me. And this is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube. Let me now share Chrome. Okay. Can someone validate they can see the meeting minutes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. The only thing we had ballots between last steering committee meeting and this unofficial one was the financial plan. Um, so I'll just document things that have happened since the last ballots that have happened since the last steering committee call. Sharon, for the recording, the two things that we wanted to cover today, we could talk a little bit about the 2026 funds. Um, let's see, and the charter we're going to have to update. Um, so the timeline for that, the euro conversion, and then what was the other one? I know I've got it somewhere. The participant membership or something like that. There's another topic that Emily and
I
I chatted about that we
I
have to
think I
update.
think I saw in your notes guest
That's
membership.
it. Thank you. Yes, that it doesn't have to renew by ballot. Okay, so we'll look at updating that in the charter as well. So go ahead, Sharon. I'm gonna go on mute for now.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, John. So just a couple of things. The funding from 2025 that was discretionary, as you know, there was changes to the financial plan this year. It was a loss of a member. So the 2026 financial plan actually didn't have any discretionary funding available. What we did is we took what was remaining in 2025, which I believe was think it was $6,500, and said you can utilize this within Q1 and be able to use it towards your discretionary to have that funding carryover, if you will. So it wasn't a formal carryover, but it was like, let's make sure that we use it by Q1. Based on what I'm seeing with your involvement in the DevNexus conference, the funding was utilized, and I've got the information. I want to wait till the quarter closes. The quarter doesn't close till today officially, and then usually our accounting team waits a couple of weeks before they say that it's officially we can kind of run some reports. But I think it's all there. I just want to give them a couple of weeks to make sure there's nothing else coming in so that we get a truer picture. But yes, it does look like the funding that we carried over from 2025 in discretionary funding was utilized. And thanks for getting that done by the end of Q1. That's really helpful. So let's wait. I'll come back. I'll probably send out a report on the steering committee mailing list with respect to that in a couple of weeks' time. Um, in
And
terms of
I apologize. And then I can also share that with the working group alias, right? The results after you send it to the steering committee with with the budget status, I can then forward that to the working
Yeah,
group alias.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll
All right.
usually
Thanks.
like we what I'd actually like to see too is we're still working through the membership update between the member that was acquired, and so that's to come yet too. That's still being finalized on our side. So that would hopefully we can get that in as well. So then that would be you would see a full material change from Q1 to Q2 or from 2025 draft to 2026 draft. So let's hope that I can include that at the same time. In
That'd be
terms,
helpful. Thank you.
yeah, I know, right? And that would hopefully be able to then have some funding that we could apply to discretionary would be ideal. I wanted to talk really quickly on the timeline of the charter update. So, this was approved by the board that all of the working groups have to convert to euros before January 1, 2027. We have this year to get it done. That said, I don't want to wait till Q3 when everyone's on vacation, and then Q4 when we're all doing our program planning and financial planning to be right in the middle, have the euro conversion as a topic that we still haven't finalized. So what I really, really want us to do as a steering committee is ensure that we're working on it in Q2. What do you want to bring to the Eclipse Foundation as, your desired conversion rate? So you can come with a couple of different suggestions. You can go with a straight conversion. You can, we've had another working group that did a percentage. So there's a few options, what you feel is best. And then that would be a draft that we'll look at. We'll, come back to you. The steering committee would have to approve the charter changes. And then on January 1, it would come into effect. Typically, any members in 2026 would stay the same. It would all just come into effect in the year 2027. Um, and what I'd like to do, so there's a couple of ways we can do this. I think, John, you and Emily are going to draft something. If you could stay focused only on the fees part of that, that would be great. And then I can incorporate that into a draft charter change for you and give you back the full charter. You can include the guest change there too. And that change for guests, by the way, is a non-issue. We stopped doing it across the working groups for quite a while. So that's just nice to get that tidied up. So yeah, so I really want us to focus on in Q2, getting that over the line so that when Q3 comes, we're all having some nice summer vacation. Q4, we're into planning program and financials for 2027, that we don't have that sticking there as something that's going to take us offline.
So for Q, sorry, so you said focus on the fees as opposed to what? Does that mean that you were gonna like make our charter recommended charter change for the guest membership? Like when you say focus on the fees, it's like as opposed to what? I just want
Oh,
to make sure
yeah,
I
so
understand.
so the guest change where you don't have to there's no voting involved. That's just standard. We'll fix that anyway because
Uh,
we're going to update the charter. And there's probably other refinements in there, John, that we can do just based on how bylaws have changed and so on and so forth. When I say that the euro conversion fee, right? So the steering committee is to make a recommendation on what you feel is best for that. So and that should be the all steering committee, right? Having input. Is it a straight U.S. to euro conversion? Is it a percentage euro conversion? You can bring us some ideas, and we can surface that to executive and so on and so forth, and then I can come back to you with a whichever we feel is the best idea, put it into a draft charter for you, and then you'd be voting on the overall full charter for a change.
okay.
Does that make sense?
And yes, yes. So we'll focus on that aspect. There's the only two things that that we know have to be fixed are the fees and the guest membership. But it sounds like from your perspective, there might be other things that like you're going through various charters trying to make them align with the bylaws, I guess.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we looked at MicroProfile.
Okay.
There may not be other refinements, but if we're going to do a charter change, we'll like let's adjust everything that needs to be adjusted, and those would all be just common changes. Nothing that would impact membership. Nothing that would mostly just on the administrative side of making sure that if there was something like the guest voting for guests that isn't required anymore, that we fix those as we're going. Got an option, let's take it and make sure we tidy up as much housekeeping as we can. That's really all.
Okay. And the other thing is, and I know we've gone over this in the past, and we had a specific session on it. I was trying to find a recording, and I couldn't, or document where you were talking about. I think it was you that presented it, like the services that are included. right? So there's line items in the actual financial plan, right? And there's a list of services that kind of go under each one of those. And sorry, I'm not prepared for this because I forgot to like preload it in my browser. But there's a services page on eclipse.org that says here's the general services offered for the fees, but it doesn't really break down into a whole lot of detail. And I know that in one of the presentations that you've given back, and boy, probably when we were going to become a working group, I don't know, 2020, 2021 timeframe, um, you had a presentation in a session kind of trying to dig into that. So, going from memory, so for example, we've got obviously we've got a discretionary. Then there's like events, and I think that's like mainly sorry, EclipseCon, which is now I forgot what the
Oh,
rebranding of EclipseCon.
OCX. It's
Thank you,
OCX.
OC. I was going to say ECP or something. I don't know. Okay, OCX. So there's like a lot of that money goes into that, and maybe other conferences that the Eclipse Foundation. It's only like a 6K budget line item, if I remember correctly.
So basically, and I don't want to get into the weeds here, John, because I don't think this is the right the right area where we don't have it's not a
Okay,
full steering committee. And of course, you didn't ask me to be prepared to talk about this, but that's
right.
irrelevant. Yeah, so we break down. There's a variety of components, right? That are costs associated with a working group. So every working group that we create, there is a cost associated to it, and then we
Hmm.
break it down based on is this a specification based working group? Do you have governance and management included? Are you paying for a program manager? Discretionary funding was big for MicroProfile, which we had supported. And we'd like to get back to supporting you on that front. Then there's some marketing services. So your event support was $2,500 out of your
Oh,
overall,
2,500. Okay.
yeah, out of your over. Like we
Follow
try.
locations.
Sorry, just a
Sorry.
second, Emily, please.
Yeah. Yeah, go
Thanks.
ahead.
We always try and it's proportionate based on the revenue that's coming in, right? So revenue coming in, what are the standard things that are associated with the working group to have it exist? And then if there's any funding left over, then that's up to you, the steering committee, how you would like to utilize that
Okay.
in best of your objectives based on your program plan. So typically where there's been extra funding, it's always been in your discretionary line item,
Right,
which
right.
is something because of a change in membership we kind of lost this year. So we'd really like to continue to grow membership and to be able to put funding back in so that you can utilize that based on the objectives in your program plan that you want to achieve.
Okay. And I apologize. I did not intend to catch you off guard on this.
No, all good.
Um,
I do have so we have been working on some of that through the journey, right, of working groups, and I think actually probably have a presentation that I can just send through. It'll probably help you, in planning, give you some more background on how things kind of flow from those items. But essentially, it's about the entire support of the Eclipse Foundation to be able to help the working group achieve its objectives based on what you want to do in your program plan,
mhm.
based on the revenue that you're bringing in, right? So where the balance is, so that we can have all of the support on file that on in our foundation that we can to support you in whatever you want to do.
Okay. Yeah, if you could send that to the steering committee at least, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll dig it out. I actually did some extensive work on it this year past. Jakarta had quite a few questions on a couple of line items, and so we do have some material that I can get out to better
okay.
help you understand that. Yep.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're
Emily,
welcome.
you had a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm wondering the government, I don't know if the document you prepared include this, just ignore. So I'm wondering for the governance and management, also including specification management, is if applicable. How did you work out this is 30K for micro profile?
It's a standard charge across all of our working groups. I believe if any of you are involved in Jakarta EE, you'll probably see that the same figure is utilized there. And it depends on, is there a program manager involved? So for the working groups that, some of the working groups that have program managers, they're not a specification. We remove the governance and management because they have a program manager in charge of that. If it's a specification working group that doesn't have that in place, you might see that that 30K is still sitting there. So this is about us saying, okay, we have working groups. This is what they do. What is our standard cost that we need to be able to have into the financial plan? Because Emily, I think you probably know, it's about staffing up the Eclipse Foundation and providing all the support and services that all of our working groups need. So we try and make sure that we have strength in those financial plans to be able to support each and every working group in what you're doing. In this case, it's a specification-based working group, so that's a standard fee. And again, I think you'll see and Emily, I'm pretty sure Jakarta EE has gone through this a couple of times because I helped with some of the backup material. The material I'll send out will actually break down some of the things that are included in specification management, and it's quite involved.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll take a look after you
yeah,
have sent the document.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. It might take me a couple of days. As I said, it's the end of the quarter, and I've got a few
Hmm.
objectives I'm trying to get over the line. But I'm certainly going to make a note to get that out, so that will help you.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Sharon. And before Sharon drops, does anyone have anything for Sharon?
Anything else?
All right.
So you mentioned,
Oh,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. So you mentioned basically the for the charter change. We just send the whole propose the fee to you, or we do a PR and say this is a charter change, and then it's ask for approval. So, so what kind of format are you after?
I'd like you just to take the fee structure. So I can provide you with just a fee structure in Google Sheets, and you can put together a couple of drafts of that. I want to focus on that, and no, you don't need to create a PR. You can just give that back to me, and then what I would do, I'd take that, plug it into the existing a new draft of the charter, with suggestion mode on so that we capture the version number change, any other changes that I see as general housekeeping, as I just spoke about. And then, the real thing that we're doing here is switching the fees from euros. But what else, what does that mean? Is it a straight transfer? Does the steering committee want to do a percentage conversion? So maybe you might have one or two columns of drafts. Finalize that in terms of what the steering committee will agree on, and then I will take it and put it into a fully draft charter and come back with that draft charter for you guys to formally approve and then take to the executive director for approval.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I
All
have
right,
a
Sharon.
real,
Yeah.
Mike.
Oh, Michael.
I just have a real fast question, Sharon. Obviously, no conversion rates, right? But what's the percentage, uh, ver, you know, version of this, and what is one better than the other? This is just mainly for my own, curiosity.
So good question. What I can tell you is, so we're looking at this with a few working groups now. We've had a couple that have gone ahead and already have made the change. One did a straight conversion. USD, it was $10,000, euros $10,000. Because what will happen then is the financial plan next year for MicroProfile, rather than being in USD, it will be in euros. Now, some people who are economists or bankers would go, well, wait now, is it really a straight conversion? And of course, everything changes in the world, right? So rates, right, from euros to every other currency are constantly changing. So we had a couple that did a straight conversion. I believe Adoptium did a 9% change. And I think Jakarta is still, they're going to work on theirs in Q2 as well to see what they're going to do there. So there are a couple of things that you can, look at and come up with. Obviously, the Eclipse Foundation too has to agree with it. But we're really looking for the steering committees to come up with what they feel is best for them, and hopefully, if it's not completely off the charts, we can make that happen. Try to be the
Okay.
best, it kind of equal the best interests of both parties, if you will,
Parties,
right?
right. So I guess it's because one is always higher than the other, so that percent would be,
Yep.
you add a certain percentage to the USD or euro or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've
Never.
had different ones do different things.
Right.
Yeah. And again, right, if you look at where we were 5 months ago or 6 months ago to where we are now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay. No, thank you.
yeah.
Never heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is something that has been interesting even for me to do. Right? Is what's the right thing to do? And again, we'll kind of leave it for the steering committee to provide us with a little bit of input on that. Okay.
All right, thanks,
Awesome.
Sharon. We'll let you go off to your busy, busy day. Thank you very much for joining at the end of the quarter.
Yeah.
Really
No,
appreciate it.
you're
Thanks.
welcome. Okay. Take care, guys. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, so with that done, from I don't know if I have to bring up the tracking spreadsheet. Um, Emily and I created the plan review ballots. So there's 4 ballots out right now. You can kind of see them listed there, all the ones in 7.2. So please vote. If you have voting privileges, please vote on those ballots so we can move forward with the 7.2 release. And it's 1 week, so April 7th is the deadline. So if I don't see any movement, then I'm going to be posting probably frequent reminders. So every couple of days. Um, that's where we're at there. Emily, did you want to add anything about the 7.2 release?
No, I think it's just in the meanwhile, I'm trying to add the stage repo plugin to the parent, the Pomex mail receipt.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done any releases into the whole Sonatype thing. It's been a while since I've gone through the process, so you and I should probably set up set up a call. So for the first time through, I can actually deliver something end to end because it's been like 3 years, I think, since I've done it, and it's atrophied. So, um, okay. So that's. Does anybody else have anything on 7.2? Okay. The microprofile tutorial. Tarun's been actively working on it. I did ask him. I looked yesterday. I did ask him, like, is there an ETA for a final delivery? And he didn't respond to it, but it's going to be up to us in to some degree in terms of how fast we can actually review the chapters. So I just reviewed the telemetry chapter and provided some feedback. He literally just released the GraphQL chapter. That's not my area of expertise. I'll read it, but it's not my area of expertise. So if there's somebody that knows GraphQL fairly well, then please review this chapter. And then, at the end of the day, the more feedback we get, the better the tutorial is going to be.
Yeah, we
Uh,
should post a message on the Google group because the GraphQL folks, they
that's a
are
good point.
even discussing releasing the next version of GraphQL. So
Well,
they don't join this call, but they are on the Google group mailing list.
yeah, it's already in the Google group, right? In the sense that he said GraphQL chapter available. Maybe what I'll do is I'll reply to that. I don't know if you can tag the whole group. I'm not sure how that works because it's just email at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
Um,
think maybe with the new heading, GraphQL chapter up for review with the
yeah,
title and then get
yeah.
sort
No,
of
that's a
the
good point. That's a
attention.
good point. Yeah, so I'll send out that reminder. Hold on, I'm gonna give myself an action item here real quick. I'm gonna do it in my tracking tool instead. Uh, Boo, 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 boo. Otherwise, I will not get it done. Oh, I need more space. Do, do. Okay. All right. I haven't gone through any of the code as well. So, that's another thing that I plan to, but I would also like to see folks are able to build and run the examples. So if you review the chapter, we should also go through and double check the code. I'm assuming he's doing the code at the same time. I haven't quite checked that. But hopefully he's updating the code at the same time he's doing the chapter. Um, so
Yeah, hopefully. On the tutorial side, and I think here this is good timing. Because he bring the tutorial up to date with the MicroProfile releases. And in the 7.2, when we release this new component stack, and one of the action is to update the tutorial. This is
yeah,
from the now on, we don't have funding to fund extra small update. So it's our own job to update the tutorial and keep the tutorial up to date. So this is nicely planned out. So which means we need to get the tutorial up to date. Hopefully in the next couple months before we finalize before we release MicroProfile 7.2.
yeah. This is maybe I'll talk about this in the context of the program plan. Is there anything else on the tutorial? Sorry, I know I switched a gear there real quick. Is there anything else on the tutorial?
No, I also
Okay.
have a to do to catch up to review, but probably I won't be able to do it in the next couple weeks because I will be on vacation soon. So which means, yeah,
Ah, okay.
we'll see.
Okay, I'm going to switch over to the program plan. So, so we did meet yesterday in the marketing call. I don't think the video is uploaded yet. I haven't uploaded it, so I'm sorry about that. But one of them is track key metrics. Let's see. Is there something else I wanted to talk about? We talked a little about improving the microprofile IO user experience. Really, that the idea with that was around personas, right? If I'm a manager, what should I see? If I'm a developer, what should I see? But one thing that we did talk about was integrating the tutorial into the website. So expect to see some progress on that. Um, this one is really done. Incrementally fund official microprofile tutorial. We did that. I don't think I'm going to close it yet. I think what I'm going to do is wait until the tutorial is done, and then I'll link to it and then close this one. Um, but track key metrics. This is interesting because I started thinking about this in a broader context. Um, I thought so we talked about tracking metrics, and we've had this for years, and we just didn't do anything with it really as a goal. So I went out to so my primary AI is Grok, and there's a million of them. And others might have used a different tool, but the results, actually comparing results would be interesting. But I basically did a bunch of queries. How many committers are there? How has it changed since the project's inceptions? And create a CSV file. And so what it's done, what I'm going to do is take that and create Google spreadsheets, or I might ask AI to create sheets for me, so maybe I'll use Gemini for that. Um, but basically, in a matter of 30 minutes trying to find the right queries, I got um, a list in a CSV file with the list of committers and how it's changed over time, right? And so then I started thinking, well, from here on out, could we use AI to update the tutorial? right? Okay, there's a dot release of some spec, update the tutorial with the following features, right? And generate equivalent code. Um, I know that there's someone at, if you know Marcus Eisel, he's been extremely prolific in articles and associated coded articles, and he's using AI to do it. He does one a day, right? And these are pretty in-depth articles with working code. It's like, well, and I think he's going to present this at some at some conferences now. So it would be interesting if we try to do the same thing with a tutorial. And then I started thinking more broadly, what else could we do? Right? So, and how could we use AI both in marketing and without marketing, right? As a tool to do various things within MicroProfile working group and the various things that we do. So just a little bit of a heads up there that I started expanding my thought a little bit. I'm far from an expert, but I'm getting up to speed pretty quickly on the various tools out there. And by the way, Marcus used various tools, and it's changed over time as the tools have changed and matured. So just a thought. Okay. So that's kind of what we talked about in terms of micro-profile marketing metrics. Um, is there any specific metric in the program? It's not metric, I apologize. Is there any specific topic in the program plan that people might want to consider talking about today?
Back to the metrics.
Yeah,
Do we have any metrics regarding the usage of MicroProfile? I think you talk about committers or the active committers, etc. What about the usage? How many consumers and how
define
many
usage.
downloads? Yeah, usage mean how many people download particular API JRs. So also we work out which microprofile spec as a is rank the microprofile spec based on the usage. Is the things, do we have the visibility about the downloads, and
Yeah, like
also about microprofile IO, the metrics, how many visits and which link do they often click. This is again, it's good metrics to have.
so we did talk about that in the call yesterday about microprofile
Mm,
IO. And right now there's no metrics. And the reasoning behind it is that nobody wanted to step up with because there's privacy concerns. And so nobody wanted to step up with legal resources to sit, and basically say, well, here's the concerns that we have around privacy and tracking various things, right? Um, I suspect there's no privacy concerns of just seeing the number of hits on a website, right? Can we talk to Ryan about that? Right? So maybe, right? But anything more specific to that might be, then we have to start getting various folks involved. We could maybe ask the Eclipse Legal and say, what do you guys do? But the members still might have issues. I don't know. I understand Ryan's perspective there, right? Um, so we can continue to talk about that in the microprofile marketing call. When it comes to like artifact downloads, that's Maven, right? And someone that has access to those numbers would have to provide it because the tooling that we have, like again, it gets back to AI. I would love to just plug this into AI, and then you could aggregate it with all the other metrics that we have and create a bigger picture. Um, that's one. Um, Yesterday, what I did took about 30 minutes, right? And so I could see myself going back to Grok again because Grok is indexed all of GitHub, right? Again, pick your tool. That's the one I'm familiar with. And I could go back and ask how many projects include, something in the microprofile namespace, and how has that changed since 2016 on an annual basis? That's basically like the type of query I would make. And we would get, well, I wouldn't use the word project. I would say repo, but that would be an interesting query. That would be a good query. I'm very curious. Oh, and how many have been active, you know, in that year or within the 24 months of that year, right? Um, so because we want to see like activity as well. What's current? So I could see that's a pretty easy query to do. Because when we first started coming up with this metric, AI was nowhere really in sight in any major way. Now it's like, man, this is easy, right? We can get some pretty crazy accurate, well, hopefully accurate statistics with very little work. And so now the question is going to be to what you've been doing, Emily. It's like, oh, what other metrics might be interesting to track? And then, of course, it's what do we do about it? That's the harder part, right? How do we improve on the metrics and create achievable goals? So,
Yeah, if for example, if a particular website has a bigger hit, and then we know where to put our focus on.
yeah. So, mhm.
I'm not sure. This is MicroProfile.io we manage. I I'm not sure what Jakarta.ee the website whether they have any analytics
That
uh
would be a very good question.
metrics. Yeah, so it's
Because if the lawyers of the members there have kind of, if there were even any privacy concerns, if they've already gone through it, then we could just say, well, it's the same members pretty much.
mm,
I don't know if it's 100% overlap, but it's
okay.
pretty heavy.
I will. Yeah, we'll find
Okay, yeah,
out. We'll
that'd be
ask.
great. So to be honest, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Um, uh, Mainly because we talked about it and kind of had a little prep work around the marketing program plan items. We didn't do a whole lot of prep work, I think, in some of the other areas leading up to the steering committee call, the non-steering committee call that we're having right now. So, anything else that anyone wanted to cover? Okay. All right. I think with that, then I'll go ahead and end the call and give you back the last 15 minutes.
Right. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Take care, folks.
Yep.
Bye.